Hello and welcome back to my flower and vegetable garden that I have in the backyard as well as around the deck and on the deck. So today I'm going to talk about pruning, and I'm going to compare the traditional pruning method, which is called hard pruning, and my way of pruning the tomatoes, which doesn't have a name yet. I might think about one. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you what I do and what I do not do, and I am sure that some people might contradict me and tell me that I'm not doing the right thing. Well, I learned not to care about that, because every time I do something and it ends up with good results, what I care is the results. So even if I'm not doing it right. So with my tomatoes, what I do goes against all the techniques discussed out there or done by farmers and everybody else. So in order to do that, let's see first the tomatoes. So there are 4 tomatoes over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. They are all confined in their own cages because they are indeterminate tomatoes that grow over a long season, and they set fruit over several months. So the tomatoes, like most people know, are determinate, indeterminate. The determinate ones are shorter. They set up fruit at once and then they stop producing, or here and there you might see a tomato, but indeterminate ones keep producing tomatoes. They are preferred by farmers because they can harvest tomatoes over a very long season, because the plant keeps producing tomatoes. So this first tomato here in the cage is a cherry tomato. It is called Super Sweet 100 VF. That's the name of this type of tomato, and it has been pruned. So this has been pruned. This one has been pruned, not pruned, using my own technique of pruning. So this second, the other tomato, this one over here, is a Jet Star tomato. So you can see this one is way bigger. This is a pretty big tomato. The cherry tomatoes are very small. And this one over here is a black cream tomato over here. That's what it is called, black cream. And with a K, it's not cream, it's K-R-I-M, so cream. Now this one is a steakhouse tomato, which hasn't been pruned, so it looks kind of bushy. There you go. That's why I did not prune it, so we can compare it to the other 3. So let's see, let me explain you first, because this is important. So let's see what for those who don't know, what is hard pruning to start with. So now hard pruning is what farmers or professionals do when they look for high yields over a long season. Pruning is really important if you want your tomatoes to bear lots of tomatoes. So what farmers do is they plant tomatoes fairly dense, only a few inches apart, in order to force them to grow up a twine. As you can see here, my tomatoes are confined in cages. I'm not using twines, and the distance between my tomatoes is fairly large. Look at that. So that cage over there, this is another cage over here, and it's like 2.5 feet, 2 feet, about 2 feet in between. 2 feet between the cages, but 2.5 feet between the base of the tomato. And I do that, first of all, because I'm not selling my tomatoes, and I'm not looking for those kind of yields that would generate profit. But also I like to interplant them. Basil, marigolds, onions, and other things that would help with the taste of the tomato. So let's go back to what we were talking before. I got distracted a little bit because I had to show you what was going on over here. So what the farmers do is that when they prune, they cut the suckers. So they pinch or cut the suckers. And the sucker, let me show you a sucker over here. A sucker is this part of the plant that grows diagonally in between the stem and the leaf. The leaf is missing here because I cut it. So that's a sucker. This one is another sucker. Okay, so they pinch this, and I don't want to pinch mine. They're so precious to me. So you see, I want to keep them, and I will explain you later why. So you can pinch them with your fingernails, and you get rid of it. Or if you have a bigger one, like the one over here, you see, this one is a really big sucker, and you can use your shears or anything and just cut it here and get rid of it. So this is what professionals do, farmers or whomever is using this hard pruning method. Well, I'm not using that, and now you will see the difference between my method and this traditional method. So I leave all the suckers actually, and what I cut and get rid of, what I prune, is the leaves. Just the leaves, that's it. I allow all the suckers to grow on my plant, because that's where the difference comes between the traditional pruning method and my method. Farmers end up with a very long plant, which is kind of naked. It's a bare plant, carrying nothing, bearing nothing from the bottom up. Only on the upper part of the plant you will find foliage and tomatoes. So by not allowing any sucker to grow on the body of the plant, they end up with this kind of plantations. It's either in greenhouses or outdoors, where you have multiple twines and you see this long tomato, which is a bare plant bearing tomatoes only at the top. Well, mine, by the end of the season, this is what they look like. So these are all suckers. That's why I let them grow. I do not cut the suckers. I only cut the leaves for better airflow, to fight diseases, for the plant to get more light. So if you do that, it's either by the traditional method or my method, you will help your plant. So do it either way, and you will help your plant bear more tomatoes. So, well, one thing that people might wonder, and I think that I should explain it, is the idea of pruning. So why do we prune tomatoes to start with, either by my way or the traditional way? Is because we want to stress the plant. We want to trick the plant into thinking that it's going to die. It was either under attack by an insect or something happened to it. So the plant, being very stressed, will set more fruit in order to get more seeds, in order to reproduce. So that's pretty much the idea of pruning, and that's why you should do it. I highly recommend it. So now it's mid-July. I'm going to do this by the end of October, actually. So if you think this is helpful, you might give it a try. If you have 2 tomatoes, just try both methods and see which one works best. So thank you so much for watching.